is the speech. Don't worry. I have the honor to welcome you all to the dedication of this beautiful building that we call Beth Menachem Chabad, or BMC. As I look out into this gathering, I see faces of many people I'm accustomed to seeing on a regular basis, Sabbath or holiday services. There's the friendly smiles of my entire family in the middle of the room. But I want to offer a very special welcome to those of you that are here for the very first time. Thank you. For me, it's both exciting and very interesting to see the transformation of this room from an Orthodox synagogue, or shul, as we call it, to this absolutely breathtaking function hall that can compete with all of the downtown venues. This is a shul, as you all know, a synagogue. Erwin, you're sitting right about where the bima would be. The Torah is read from where Jerry is, right about there. The women are all on that side of the room. The men are always on this side of the room, so this is a different thing for us right here. So it's great to be able to see the room in this kind of venue. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Fred Chanowski. I'm likely the proudest person in the room tonight. I was the chairman of the building committee, and now it's first president. There's not much difference between my duties. So there's not much difference between my duties here at a Chabad than those in a conservative or reform temple, except for one benign duty. I don't get to hire and fire the rabbi. I know it's not fair. It's just not fair. I got cheated out of that enviable responsibility. Walter, you know what I mean. I hear it's a great way to make friends and make for interesting conversation at restaurants and country clubs and almost everywhere. But hiring and firing the rabbi is simple compared to the problems we had here. Let me give you an example. When the building was first completed and we took occupancy, I ran into a very unique problem. What was the problem? There were squirrels. Squirrels running around this room that you're in right now. So what do you do when there's squirrels in a place? You can't call your local pest control company, so I Googled squirrels in a temple. God bless Google, there was an answer for me. A list of other temples that had squirrels in them. So I called the first one. I figured, why not call another Chabad, right? This is a Chabad, that's a Chabad. What did you do with your squirrels? So I talked to the rabbi there, and he said, well, we separated the male squirrels from the female squirrels. But wouldn't you know it, the female squirrels didn't want to be separated. They left, but the males decided to stay anyway. So we still have our squirrel problem. Now, I figured I'll go up a notch and I'll call a conservative shul, right? I call a conservative shul and I got an executive director. The executive director says, yeah, we did have a squirrel problem. The first thing we did was we formed a committee on squirrels. Many of the members were happy to join. There was some active discussion. The committee decided to form a search committee for people to get rid of the squirrels. We interviewed about 20 pest control, squirrel removal companies, fired the first, fired the second, naturally. And here we are today. We were never able to get rid of the squirrels. I was now down to the very last choice I had. I was now down to a reform temple. So I called the reform temple, and I happened to get the executive director of the Hebrew school at the reform temple. And I asked if he, in fact, did have squirrel problems. He said, yes, we did, but it was no big deal. I said, no big deal. No one's been able to get rid of them. What did you do? He said, we decided to bar mitzvah the squirrels. They never came back. So here's a little history of how we got here. This Chabad began back in the year 2000 when Rabbi Chaim Prus, or Reb Chaim as I call him, bought a small home on Denham Street next to the Country Sky School. Great location, not problematic. He wanted He wanted to convert into a synagogue for a group of South Newton men looking for a place for Friday night services. They used to go from house to house. This is not a joke, this is all true. After a battle with the city and neighbors over the right to build a synagogue there, maybe some of you read it, the small little Chabad began to attract local men and women for Shabbos services. For the next 5 years, we enjoyed some small but steady growth, but we soon found that seating was getting tight. We could seat all of about 50 people in this little house. We couldn't accommodate all that wanted to partake in the Shabbos Kiddush. That's the meal after Sabbath services, and other holiday meals at event. And moreover, there was no kitchen to speak of, and you know how it is with Jews and food. That alone was enough impetus to build a new building. So just 5 years later, I vividly remember the day that Rabbi Proust told me there was a large lot of land for sale at the corner of Rachel Road and Dedham Street. We should perhaps consider buying it and building a larger facility. Well, I can think of a few problems, Rabbi, nothing very serious. First, there's a 120-year-old farmhouse on the lot, which will definitely be placed on the historical register. That's number one. Number two, the price is $1 million for the land. Number three, it's in the middle of an upscale neighborhood with very expensive homes. Number four, these neighbors will do whatever is necessary to keep a synagogue out of the neighborhood. Number five, where would we get $5 million required to build this building? Number six, how am I going to break this news to my mother-in-law? And lastly, but not a very big deal, the land was sold last week, Rabbi, and is already under agreement. And that's true. The rabbi's response? I'll call the owner and ask if he'll see us. Didn't you hear what I just said? Now this rabbi is either a little meshuggah, he has a direct line to God, or he just plain lots of chutzpah. I'm not talking chutzpah, I'm talking honest to goodness chutzpah. Just so you understand the kind of chutzpah I'm talking about, I want to see if I can relate it to you in regular terms. I want you to picture Jimmy and Paula Gould leaving their Manhattan apartment to do their regular business. They leave every day and they happen to pass by a little woman that can barely stand up straight, and she's selling potato knishes on the corner. Potato knishes, because in New York they don't know from meat knishes. The potato knishes are $1 a piece. Jimmy passes by, puts $1 in the lady's pushki, keeps walking, doesn't even take a knish. Next day goes by, passes the little lady, puts another $1 in the pushki, doesn't take a knish again. This goes on for weeks and weeks and weeks. One day, they walk by the same woman, he puts $1 in the pushki, and the woman says, "Excuse me, Mr. Gould, knishes went up to $1.50. That's the kind of chutzpah I'm talking about, our Rabbi Proust. Where are you sitting? I don't see you. That's the kind of chutzpah I'm talking about. So, let's go back to the owner. Incredibly, he called the owner, and the owner did agree to meet with us. I don't know why, but at the end of the meeting, the owner, who happened to be Jewish, told us he'd find a way to cancel the P&S, and he agreed to sell us the land at the same price. I don't know. Perhaps he was afraid he'd find a horse's head in the bed that night, or something of that nature. I can't figure out why he helped us. Well, so we now had the land, but we had absolutely no way to pay for it and put a building on top of it. I think that was the first time I heard the name Richard Slifka. We'll talk about Richie later, but through the generosity of Richie, another anonymous donor, and some other kind people, the rabbi came up with enough building to buy this land, and we started building it. So what was left to do? Number one, there was that impossible task of getting a house demolished that was slated for the historical register. Two, there was getting a permit for a building whose zoning required 90 spaces. We only had room for 10. Number three was getting a building designed and built that would fit into the neighborhood and satisfy these neighbors. And then four, there was that issue of getting the rest of the money. So with the help of some terrific members, there was Zvi Schwartzman of ZVI Construction, those generous contributors, here we stand tonight, dedicating this awesome and beautiful Jewish center, and that deserves a round of applause. me tell a little bit about our Chabad here. I know there are a lot of Chabads around. There's only one thing more than there are Chabads. There are only more beauty parlors and banks in Newton Center than there are Chabads. Now you're thinking about how many beauty parlors have been. There are 32. This is the largest Chabad in all of New England. We offer both male and female mikvahs, that's a ritual bath. We have classrooms for Hebrew school. We have a large, fully equipped kitchen. We also have some space to offer services that we not yet have that will hopefully attract Jewish families to a full service synagogue. Now, who comes here? You see them all around you. For the high holidays, we definitely have a packed house full of men and women for all walks of life, ages, all parts of the world, speaking many languages, that's for sure. Some of the sitters are in Russian, and we've got some Hebrew was no problem. They were written that way, so the Israelis do fine with that. I don't think we even use the English, given all the people that are here. But it's a very warm and inviting atmosphere for prayer, and it's anything but formal. You're accepted here for exactly who you are, without concern for any financial situation. You want to wear a large tallis, we have those. You want to wear a small tallis, we got them. You want to wear no tallis, that's okay. Can't read Hebrew, pray in English. Join the Hebrew classes maybe and learn how. Here you are. You want to understand the prayers more intimately? Well, we have then the typical translations in the ye and thou and ye should have and ye saw. We have a way to do that as well too. You want to interrupt the rabbi's sermon with a question? Happens all the time. Don't be shy. There's a very nice crowd here for Shabbos services. We have great conversations. The atmosphere is very lighthearted. Everyone enjoys these lavish kiddushes that are sponsored by our members. Not quite what you're eating here tonight. We have weddings, bar mitzvahs, circumcisions, community dinners, Friday nights, other holidays. Want to play bingo? No, that we don't have. Morning minion, Sunday breakfast, all of those things are no problem. I think you get my point. There were two things that I wanted to accomplish, I should say we all wanted to accomplish with this dinner here tonight. One was to naturally raise a little money so we could get some things accomplished. Two, and the most important to all of us, was that everybody would see that Chabad is a regular place with regular people that do regular things. And I said, well, maybe these people might join us one day and try it out. So we can get just a few of you to try it once. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's appropriate to raise our glasses right now, and let's join together in saying a big l'chaim to the successful future of this wonderful Jewish center. To all l'chaim.